this is the part where the countdown happens. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone this fine evening?
I'm doing well. I got cuppa. I'm feeling great.
Awesome. Cup of what? Noodles? Soup? Gravy?
No, it's coffee.
It's a cup of gravy.
It's hot Kool-Aid.
Hot Kool-Aid? That sounds even worse.
Drink my hot Kool-Aid.
That worst cult leader ever, Eric.
Yeah, it's like this is we're in like the Costa Rican jungle. Can I get like a ice cube over here? Thanks.
Nope. Gotta have the hot Kool-Aid.
Boiling strawberry kiwi Kool-Aid.
Well, on that note,
what?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, sorry. On that note, thanks for joining us, everybody. We know you have your choice in Friday evening entertainment, so it's great to see everybody here. Who do we have in the chat? Let's have a gander. Looks like we have Dave of Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hello, Dave. We have the Macintosh Librarian. Hello, Kate. We have Jesus Christ. He's here, of course. Not 3 days late. We also have David Starbuck of Starbucks fame. Francois is here. Sloopy Malibu has joined us as well. We have Jean Francois. And a Garth Beagle has crept in, as well as a CDI. And I see a Tech Knight has joined us as well. So thanks, guys.
That's cool.
Appreciate you having you here. I hope we get some more people join. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe. And that's the last time you're going to hear me say anything about that this evening. So, Ron, what's all the news?
I don't know. I've been out of town.
You have been.
Yeah, I was helping a friend with a project and just got back into town yesterday.
Nice.
And
I was following you on Shorts.
Oh, were you?
On your YouTube Shorts. There were some pretty fun ones there.
Yeah, I went to Death Valley.
Yes,
and
that's right.
it was I think 62 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. And I was like, Death Valley, you're not going to kill anybody putting up numbers like this.
Yep.
You gotta
Pump that numbers up.
Yeah. And then there was a time a couple of years ago that I went there just passing through because it's just like the main part, or like the touristy part of Death Valley is honestly, it's just like a bunch of gas stations and a couple restaurants and the giant thermometer. There's also a place that like you can stop and get alien jerky, which is like it's just like a big square building, but the outside of it is all decorated, look like some sort of tank or some kind of inner space, like outer space vehicle, kind of weird thing.
Can I ask a question? What is alien jerky made of?
Yeah, it's made out of aliens. So, but inside
they have people, they just wanted to come here.
I know hundreds
of better life
types of jerky, hundreds of different types of jerky. And so, what you can do is you can sample all of those and buy them. They're like $15 for like a bag of jerky. So, I guess it's a good business to be in. But as part of it, they have little bags that are like alien jerky. Is alien flesh gamey? No, I'm about to tell you about it. But the alien, it's quote alien jerky, and the bag has got nothing inside, so it's like the Emperor's New Jerky or something. Oh, and gotcha. So I went up there and I asked, and I was like, "Hey," I said, "You've got this jerky and it's this price, and then you have, this bag that is empty, but it's like a gag thing." I said, "How much are these?" And they're like, "Oh, they're free." And I said, "Oh, that's cool." I said, "How many can I have?" And they're like, "I don't know, take as many as you want." And I said, "So if I go over there and I take like this stack this thick," I said, "if I take that off the peg, that's cool." "Well, you can't have that many." I'm like, this is
clearly there's a limit.
Right. This is the thing I'm stuck in all the time, where it's like, clearly there is a limit. I said, if it's one with every purchase or something, then there probably needs to be a sign that says that. So, but then I realized that this was a minimum wage employee in the hottest place on earth.
Yeah, selling alien jerky.
Selling alien jerky. And I was like, well, I'll just let it go.
Now the big question: the normal jerky, was it good?
I don't eat beef or pork, so I have no idea.
Okay.
They did not, and I was like, hey, do you guys have turkey jerky or chicken jerky or I don't know, like
They're like, what
the
are you,
more
a communist?
cunning,
Get out of here.
the more cunning crustaceans.
Fruit jerky.
Fruit
Yeah,
jerky?
I was like,
You mean a fruit roll-up or a bag of
right,
raisins?
Yeah.
Something.
So they're like, no, we don't have any of that. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. So at least Buc-ee's and places like that have turkey jerky.
What kind of animal is Bucky?
Buc-ee is a beaver. I think
Do they have beaver? Do they have beaver jerky?
They do not.
Seems like a loss.
Muskrat, yes. Not
Seems like a lost potential there. But anyway.
But yeah, in the Midwest in the United States, there's a ton of Buc-ee's, and then there's now in St. Louis, there's a Wally's, which is kind of a different. It's weird because in Missouri, they're creeping north and they're creeping east, but now this competing thing, which is basically the same concept and the same execution, called Wally's, is coming. They're dropping them in as a firewall to stop the Buc-ee's from encroaching.
So is
further.
Wally's like a Wario version of?
Okay, here's what it is. It is like it's kind of the Wish version of Buc-ee's.
Okay.
It's I'm sorry, it's the Kirkland's own Buc-ee's.
Gotcha.
It's the Equate brand Buc-ee's.
Gotcha.
It's okay. It does all the same things, checks all the same boxes. Where it's just like, oh, there's like a wall and it's nothing but jerky. Or it'll like they've got a guy back there that's just like cutting jerky all day, and it's like, how much do you want? And he's like weighing it out. They got a thing that's like little barbecue sandwiches, and they're all like in the foil, so people can just grab and go. There's like the world's biggest soft drink fountain thing, where it'll be like 90 different like taps with different sodas on it and stuff. I mean, it's about the kind of, it's like a tourist trap destination kind of thing.
The big question is, are the bathrooms clean?
Yes, and that's the other thing.
That's the big thing.
You could literally eat a Buc-ee's or Wally's. They're, again, it's basically the same thing. But you could eat the brisket sandwich off the bathroom floor in a Buc-ee's with confidence that you will probably not pick up an emergent virus of some kind. But it's really good. It's if you I don't know why this turned into an ad for Buc-ee's, but if you happen to find yourself,
well, it's funny. This is a segue to our sponsor.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, though, all of these places will eventually be Taco Bell.
Right.
Yeah.
And the restrooms will not be the same. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We don't have Buc-ee's here, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sure you've got something else that's the same.
We don't have like the mega. We don't have the mega. Gas stations. The largest gas station we have here is probably the Costco.
So you can't get codfish tongues at your local gas station?
No. I can get listeria from a tuna sandwich.
You can, but it's like a guy parked at the very end of the lot
in an old Dodge Caravan.
Yeah,
with a hand-painted sign that says cod tongues and it's spelt wrong.
It's like this door on the side is a different color.
Yep.
By the other side says candy.
The bottom 6 inches of the car is just rust. It's just gone. There is no. Yeah. You've all seen my uncle's vehicle, apparently.
Yeah, the hometown that I grew up in had a emporium venue, whatever you want to call it, for gizzards was a big thing.
Yeah.
And they also had, alligator jerky and all sorts of oddball stuff. Never been there.
I will tell you, the South is big on a lot of that stuff. Like I'm in the area of the U.S. where you can go into a gas station and they'll have fried chicken. They'll have like the big wedges of potato. They'll have like corn on the cob on like a little wooden skewer. You can get that type of stuff. But you get about 2 hours south. You get about 3 hours south. You can go in and you can absolutely get like organ meat. It's just there. It's
Hog's feet.
no, not
No.
so much. You really got to go a little bit even further south.
Gotcha.
But no, you can absolutely go and be like, oh, it's livers, it's gizzards, it's hearts, it's all that stuff, deep fried, whatever. There's a really great place that's on the way to Memphis. Like it's just on the far side of Arkansas for me that they have the deep fryer, like the deep fryer operation is right here, and then they have like the heated case. And the front of the case, there was at one time some sort of cardboard decoration, but it has absorbed so much grease over the years that it probably tastes amazing. But you don't want to touch it because it will ruin whatever clothing comes into contact with it. Ask me how I know.
That's funny.
The U.S. is something else. I guess when
Yes, it is.
we got a lot of problems.
Here are our local gas stations. I can't believe we're discussing gas stations, but here we are.
It's
our
okay.
local gas stations have, hot dogs, taquitos, sometimes fries, Slurpee machines, and
bad pizza.
Yeah, bad pizza. Stuff that probably has a very finite time in the day when it actually is delicious and good. And if you go north or south of that, it's just going to give you terrible, terrible times.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
you haven't lived until you've had the hot dog that's been on the rotisserie thing.
Oh yes,
for like
roller
3 days.
dogs.
Yeah. Now, if it looks like a piece of jerky when you're eating it, it's been there a while. I'll also say the fact that, like, in the States right now, I watched a documentary recently on 7-Eleven, that 7-Eleven sells sushi. It's like
that's been really democratized in the U.S. Sushi.
Yeah. So. Like, it's not. It's probably no real fish in it. It's probably all.
It's real fish.
Yeah, but it's going to be like cheaper cuts of things, and that's
pollock,
skipjack. It's going to be it's but here's the thing. I would say and this might be a controversial thing. I would say that while gas station sushi may not be better, it's probably better for you and the environment than something you're paying for, like a really expensive thing at like a sushi yacht.
Yeah. If you're eating dolphin fin, it's probably worse for the environment.
No, I'm thinking more about the fact that, like, smaller fish have a shorter life cycle, and those fish have less time to suck up mercury out of the ocean. And so they're also better for the environment because they're more sustainable than, like, these giant, like,
tunas.
You see these things where it's like on how it's made, how we made sushi, and they go out and there's like a, have
you ever seen a tuna?
A tuna the size of a Buick.
Yeah, it's like a Volkswagen. It's like a Volkswagen Beetle on the end of a hook.
Yeah,
they're massive.
Mm-hmm.
For me, just it's like our supermarkets also sell sushi now, and I'm like,
so do ours.
I don't know. I've eaten it.
We have fast food sushi places now.
Yeah, I suppose.
Where it's like you can just kind of run through and get things. And and honestly, here's the deal. I think that it got churched up in the US for a very long time when this is like grab and go food in the countries of its origin.
Yeah.
It's designed to just be I'm going because I'm busy.
You didn't do that right. You have to say ooh, and then get big cat eyes and then nom.
Oh,
sorry. You got to do it properly if you're going to do it.
I don't have all those gut bomb little gestures, that
little emojis.
It makes hard.
Most of the sushi joints in Okinawa are all conveyor belt sushi.
Yeah,
they don't even serve it. You don't go up and get it. They just send it out on a conveyor belt.
Yeah, you just get what you want.
Yep.
I like that system though, and I think the U.S. could benefit from something like that, where it's
we did
the
have
plate. If the plate is a certain color or has a certain pattern, it's one price.
Yes.
So as it just comes by, you just I want this, and I want that, and I want this,
and you pay by the plate. But I mean, when I say we, I mean North America. We had that. Remember the automats?
Yeah,
our parents would have seen the automats in the 50s and the 60s. I mean, they were essentially that. You walked up to this random series of glass doors. You opened it up on the item you wanted to eat, and you pulled it out, and that's what you paid for.
We do that now, though. A lot of gas stations in the U.S. now have like a open fridge where it'll be like a thing in the middle, and they try to park better choices in there.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, here's a little bag that's got like 2 hard-boiled eggs and a loan application.
Right.
Or they'll have like, oh, it's a parfait, like a yogurt and things. Or it'll be little sandwiches, or a pickle, or and you know, and fruit, and a fruit in a cup, and all that. So
hospitals, same thing.
Well, actually, I will say our hospital, and this is the funniest thing. I think I posted a picture on Twitter or on X of it, and if I have it, I will repost it before the night's over. When my father was sick last year, before he died, we spent a lot of time in the hospital, and I got to go walking around. And there's a automatic pizza vending machine in the hospital.
Yeah.
I was like, our province has the worst when it comes to cardiac, diabetes, obesity, and here we're parking a pizza machine in the hospital.
Yeah.
I
guess if that's all you're going to eat.
Yeah, I suppose if you're dying and you really want a pizza.
Like, the last thing I'm going to want as my last meal is like a machine pizza.
Well, I mean, if it's 5 minutes, it's that or wait 30 minutes for Domino's, right?
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, like you have to
so
pump the
clock's
gas here.
I
mean,
we're
all dying.
Slow down the
all you have to
machine?
do is like stop breathing for 4 minutes.
Right.
Just hold your breath for 4 minutes and tell me how it goes. But I mean, I guess if you got to go, I mean, you'll be glad that tombstone is right there. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Boom. Tombstone pizza. Tombstone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got
what do you want on your tombstone?
What do you want on your tombstone?
And then, of course, that ties into retro tech.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can talk about the Apple II Oregon Trail, pepperoni and cheese on the tombstone in Oregon Trail.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, it's a full circle. See, like a pizza. Brought us right around.
Mm-hmm.
Completion by return. So this happens to be February 21st of 2025. We are nearly done the second month of the year 2025. This is crazy.
Valentine's Day is a full week in the mirror at this point.
Yeah.
We're doing good.
Yeah, we've disappointed everybody. It's been at least a week since we disappointed them. Everybody's happy, or not. But we're heading towards one of the best months of the year. One of my favorites, and one of Ron and I think Eric's favorites is we're heading to March.
Amazing,
March.
Sorry.
We got to go to March first, then April, then May, then June. However, March is often referred to as the month of love.
In like a lion, out
like a lamb. Yeah, we have the Ides of March here. We usually have a bad snowstorm on the 15th of March. Usually, our last big snowstorm.
Closing in on tax day. No, it's Marcintosh.
Marcintosh, yay!
Yep. It's has it already been a year? Yes.
Right?
Yes, it has.
Am I ready? No.
You may remember last year, if you were around last year, I went through about 7 computers the entire length of Marcintosh to run Global Talk. So, of course, in the time since, I've done nothing to those 7 machines that died.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
Yeah, they're there and they're waiting and they're fun. And just in conversations with people earlier today, a lot of people, I started doing more promotion stuff. So folks at home, if you're on Blue Sky, there is a official Marcintosh page out there too. So I'm going to try to follow things on Birdsite and follow things on Blue Sky and follow things on Mastodon to try to push things around and make sure that people get coverage for all the stuff they're doing. That it makes for a long month of promoting everybody's stuff. But as you see cool things, be sure to tag the official Marcintosh account on those various platforms, so that way that I can make sure that other people that your content is getting pushed out. And it's a cool month. If you've never participated before, you can go to marcintosh.com or marcintosh.org, marcintosh.net.co.uk.
Just Google Marcintosh, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's marcintosh.com. And you can go out there and there's full information about the event, kind of the do's and the don'ts. There's not a lot of don'ts. But there's a style guide out there and artwork for you to use on all your projects. And if you're not a YouTube kid, that's fine. If your calling is woodworking, by gosh, like make something cool and then post a picture on social media or post on your blog or throw it on your Insta or whatever it is the kids are doing these days. But make fun things and share it with your friends, because this is a inclusive month all about getting people excited about vintage Macintosh stuff. So is Marcintosh when Joe at JCM has a 15% site-wide discount? Who can say? Who knows what Joe has planned for this coming?
But you know what? Here's the thing about jcm-1.com, and we thank them for being our unofficial not sponsor. Their prices are so rock bottom to begin with because they believe more in the product than they believe in capitalism. That, I'll be honest, you'd be hard pressed to spend less money and get more value.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fun things out there. And actually, what's best, I think one of the advantages of what Joe does is, other than give me a place to sell my things, just in the interest of
Being
openness,
transparent.
yeah, being transparent, is that there's a lot of people in our little corner of the hobby that do a lot of fun things. And a lot of them are on Joe's store, so you can just buy it all from one place. Because it kind of started with my little battery replacement kits and stuff, where I'm like, I want to say at least for like $2 or whatever, $3, and I was like, there's no way that I can do that, because you're not going to spend $7 to buy a $3 item. But if you go out to Joe's and there was something else out there you wanted to get, it's easier to just be like, oh yeah, I'll just add like another couple bucks here and a couple bucks there and a couple bucks there, and then eventually you've saved money versus going to like 50 people's Tindy stores to get things. So
Exactly.
So hopefully that's part of it, and then the fact that Joe's really good, and he actually employs a lot of people in our hobby too. Has them do various things for his projects, and just wielding a soldering iron and all that. So it's so a lot of the profit just goes back into the pockets of people, our friends and people in the hobby. So
exactly,
yeah, it's nice.
And at the end of the day, would you rather support a friend or would you rather support faceless entity? That's
Jeff Bezos and I went to finishing school together, so I'm kind of torn on that one. So
see, I went to Swedish school.
Oh yeah, it's just one country over. It's fine.
It is. I didn't get to learn to drive as good as the finishing school kids did.
No,
unfortunately. Cool. So what?
I like how Eric was just stone faced for that whole thing. He's like, this is the daddiest joke that ever dadded the dad.
I have the worst dad joke, but I promise I won't tell it. But I will tell it off.
Thank you,
because it is the worst dad joke I've ever heard.
Oh yeah,
and it's like one of the long ones that take forever to explain. Like
you're telling us the joke now, right?
No, definitely not. So bringing us kind of back to Marcintosh, I honestly I have no real plans for Marcintosh other than I want to try to work on a 512 that I've figured out that I own that I didn't realize I owned. I cleaned my room up today, and I'll be damned if you find stuff when you clean that you didn't realize you owned.
Oh yeah,
I was explaining to Ron earlier. I thought I had like half a dozen or a dozen Macintosh keyboards and maybe 12, 13, maybe 15 Macintosh mice. No, there's 40 Macintosh mice and probably 12 to 13 keyboards. Didn't know I owned them. Had no idea. So there's fun. What I'm saying is get out there and clean. Mm-hmm. You'll find stuff you own that you didn't realize you own. However, I did happen to find one of my Marcintosh projects, which I think I can show you. Is it's right here. It's a 512 with a 220 meg hyperdrive.
Oh, internal?
Yeah, internal, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, not for the analog board.
No.
But it's nice to have some storage.
Yeah. The interesting thing about it is it weighs, and it must be the hard drive. When I picked it up, it weighs about 15 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is way more than it should weigh.
From memory, those are full height, 5 1/4 drives, and they're kind of mounted in a manner that they kind of sit like just right under the neck of the CRT.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
I'm thinking that's the case, but they but they're They're like big wacky drives.
Cool.
So
yeah, my thought was I'm going
like
to crack that
RLL
open.
or something.
I'm going to crack that open. It has a little bit of corrosion on the battery port on the back. So I'll crack it open, see what it needs, maybe clean it up a little bit, see if I can get it to boot from Blue Scuzzy, maybe install an internal Blue Scuzzy, the usual, nothing major. And then the other thing that I'm going to play with Margintosh, which I think anybody can play with, and this is another peg for jcm-1.com, is the Pico Micromac.
Yeah, you can do that.
Right? So if you don't have the ability to buy some vintage computers, some vintage Macintoshes, or you require... you live in an apartment, you can't take up the space. This is a fantastic way to scratch that vintage Mac itch in the form factor about the size of a piece of juicy fruit.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. I assembled mine the wrong way, but you guys can assemble it the correct way.
Wait, what's wrong about how you did it?
Well, I didn't double it up, so it was smaller.
You didn't put one of the risers on it. And
yeah, I didn't use the riser.
I mean, you can put one of those. Oh,
yeah, I didn't put one of those on.
Does it work? Right.
It works perfect. You can see it. Look,
you did it right.
See?
Yeah, it's fine.
And what's neat about it is
the original design was to do that, and then the Ethan was like, "Oh, I'm going to add SD card support," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So it necessitated doing the flip and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I soldered mine up a couple of weeks ago and got it working. You can see it here on this beautiful. I have a bunch of these NEC monitors. They're like super high gloss. They're a really pretty monitor. And I sold them to the client about 15 years ago. And even back then, I was like, "Oh, I love those monitors." And I had a few of my own at the time. But subsequently, I've been back now 2 or 3 times to the same client, and they still have them. And I keep swapping them out for widescreen monitors because the employees are like, "I really want another monitor. This square thing is terrible." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's terrible." And then I take it home with me. So,
yeah.
But it's a beautiful gloss screen. It just looks... But the big thing is it fixes that glitch that I had with it. You remember when I first turned it on, it had the artifact lines?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a menu adjustment there that I was able to adjust some of the frequency, and it fixed it right up.
And honestly, and I chased that forever on the design, and then Joe kept telling me over and over again, he's like, "It's just your monitor that you're using," and I was like, "Yeah, but I hate the fact that it's like that." And so, but Gut Bomb did some testing, and I did some testing, and I was like, maybe there's a way to just like make it, because if you connect to a display that doesn't allow you to change the phase clock on stuff,
that's what it was.
You can, you'll end up with like a little squiggly wiggly on the screen sometimes, and so I tried the hardware side of it, changing the resistance of the thing. Actually, if you overdrive a lot of LCDs, it fixes the problem, but I don't want to overdrive people's stuff. So,
cool.
Sorry about your.
Poor Tech Knight just destroyed his FR 301.
Yeah.
Oh, poor.
Well, a moment of silence.
Yeah. Pour one out for thee.
But David, basically, it is it uses the Raspberry Pi Pico. There's a little board that I made that basically breaks out VGA and also charging. I also have another little board that I created that gives you SD card access. So basically, you make like a little stack that's like a Mac 128 plus a little bit. If you put the SD card on it, you can have like a writable disk image and throw a bunch of software and stuff on it. And if you go to picomac.bluescuzzy.com, there's a builder where you can make custom images, and you can download the different precompiled versions of the firmware based on whatever it is you want to do. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I'm told that and I don't know if this is public knowledge, but I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here, but I'm told there might be some nice case type designs coming out shortly.
Yeah, I've been working with Gut Bomb on that, but the problem is that he is so busy these days.
He is a very busy man. Yes, we love you, Gut Bomb, but you're very busy.
So busy these days.
Yeah, because I had mentioned in a voice chat a couple of days ago, I was like, wouldn't it be really cool to have like a really small LC shaped case to stick this in?
Yeah,
and he basically told me to just hold on, something's coming. So
Yeah.
I look forward to whatever it is you guys are able to dream up,
Mhm.
and whatever I can print on my 3D printer.
Yeah, it just really is coming down to that he's closing the books on a couple of different projects right now.
Right.
Plus, he's trying to get his YouTube channel off the ground, and he's making
Which
videos.
We
and-
should probably plug, because I got to be honest, when it comes to recent
Mhm.
people getting back into YouTube, his videos are fantastic.
yeah,
Yes.
Like
he
the
makes some fun
detail, the research, the just even going and finding vintage like footage.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like, that takes so much time. People don't realize how
Oh, yeah.
much time that actually takes. He
The
does a
amount of
fantastic
time
job.
you're called a dork.
Yeah, the amount of time he calls you a
Hey-
dork.
Hey, dorks.
Hey, dorks. Actually, we need to make that a soundboard. That needs to be a soundboard in Discord. That sound. Yes, but I also want to announce that I've officially made it within your Discord, Ron.
Oh yeah.
I officially have an emoji.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was officially added to the emoji. It's of course, being me, it's the emoji of me experiencing Chicago deep dish pizza for the first time.
Right.
And I have a very inquisitive sort of face. So I thank Thomas Barber for creating said emoji.
Nice.
So is that where you go to the restaurant? You have the plastic suit on, and they throw food at you.
I don't think I went to
Sorry,
that restaurant.
Flashback to an old movie.
I just imagine visions of, was it Gallagher? Who was the guy who used to squish the watermelon?
Older.
That's-
Ringo Starr, Peter Sellers, the Mystic, something
Peter
or other.
Sellers. Peter Sellers movies.
There's Mystic Pizza.
Mystic Pizza.
Well,
That's
it's not
not it.
Mystic Pizza.
But it's not Mystic
This is
Pizza.
from the late '60s.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Kate, I have an official emoji. As does Mackie, which is a picture of Mackie.
hmm
But yeah, cool. So Eric, what are your plans for March Toss? Do you have any? Are you
Yeah,
cat out of the bag,
actually-
or are you going to?
So,
Oh.
bear with me. I picked up this beautiful laptop, throwing things around.
Okay,
it's an
Ron, is it-
IBM.
Ron, is it am I going to burst his bubble, or are you going to burst his bubble about March?
Well, hang on. There's a method to the madness.
Okay.
This is an IBM PS2 model L40SX. It's a 386 laptop. I'm
Yeah.
going to port HyperCard to it.
Oh,
Oh,
that's way cool.
No,
Cool.
I'm not.
oh.
Just kidding.
Oh, well,
You got me excited.
you dashed my
No,
my hopes
my
most
Marcintosh
expertly, sir.
is getting my beta test quality assurance team version of the demo to Adventure out for testing
Neat.
Okay.
this month. It might be the 30th. It'll be this month.
Well, technically, this month only has 28 days, so
Well, I mean,
you've got a
March
week
and time.
left to finish. Good luck, sir.
I mean Marcintosh. So
So speaking of that, what are the system requirements for your adventure game? Like, what can I run it on?
well, there are 4 options actually.
There,
You
there are
can
4
run it.
options, are there? There are 4
Yes,
options.
Four options. 4 options. It's going to be wrapped in mini VMAC in a custom version of it, so you could run it on Linux, OS X, or Windows, emulated, and it works well enough on that. The other requirement, because I'm pushing HyperCard to its ridiculous limits with this, is that you got to have basically a Power PC,
Okay.
base system. I've been developing it on a Power Macintosh G3, so you can run it on like an SE30 or an SE with 4 meg, but you'll have to go get a cup of coffee, actually make the coffee, and then pour a cup between moves in the game.
Okay.
It's that slow on original
So
hardware.
what you're saying is I can't run it on my Pico Micro Mac.
No.
Ah.
No. So it is. I originally targeted just classic Mac for the platform, but I
Right.
got crazy with it, and it won't run on.
So what you're saying is you had scope creep that also went into power creep.
Yeah, something like that. So think like Blob Blob.
Right.
You can run it on a classic, but it's going to be really
It's
slow.
not very good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, same kind of problem.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see it. I got to say.
So am I.
Yes.
How are you doing with that writer's block you were having? I mean, you mentioned it last week. You had.
I worked out a way for that.
Excuse me.
You know the choose your own adventure books
Right.
that you
Right.
could get, where it's like turn to page 37 if you pick this option. I'm writing my script using that mechanism,
Okay.
and that's helping a lot with getting the prose down. And then I'll translate that back into the game.
Nice.
Cool. That's exciting. And so, are there any new like, have you, what's the word I'm looking for? Have you added anything new to it? Or is the game fairly structured now that it
It's
is
fairly
what it is?
structured. In a conversation the other day, I did come across something that I think would be helpful for playing the game.
Okay.
If you use what is it, Ultima Underground or something like that, you can write on the map.
Okay.
Okay, so you can keep notes on the map. So you can
Right.
do location things like, "Ooh, I found this key here," that kind of thing.
Don't go here, you will die.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I did add a feature where you could, on the map, because it does have an interactive map where you could take notes on
Awesome.
whatever. But I want to be able to, you don't have to go dig in the map to do it. I want to have read notes
Sure.
for this location, a few
Mhm.
commands like that for it. So
Awesome.
That's cool.
Well, it sounds very exciting. I'm excited to see the game, and I look forward to seeing it for sale at VCF Midwest in September.
that is
Potentially,
Mhm.
that is
Yep.
the plan. So,
Yep.
awesome.
So it'll be free for digital download, but
Right.
I'm going to sell box sets.
Well, I hope to get an autographed Eric box set at
cool.
VCF Midwest.
Certainly.
So you can put me down for whatever that costs. Cool. So yeah, we've discussed March and Toss. We've discussed gas station bathrooms somehow. I'm just trying to recap here.
Mhm.
What did anybody get any gets this week? Is there anything before we move on to the news?
Yeah.
Oh, you woke up, Bomb Up, Ron.
Yeah.
You said his name 3 times, and much
Yeah.
like Beetlejuice, he appeared.
I bought
Yeah.
this.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a hard
Ooh.
copy version of the script guide.
Nice.
So
is there anything Hypercard that you don't currently own?
there's plenty of stuff I don't.
You are the king of Hypercard.
I am trying to accumulate some stuff. One of the things that I'm going to do after I get the game out is I want to start grabbing some of the lore that you find in magazine articles. Sometimes there's notes in books, like this person did this and and came up with this stack, and sort of like folklore.org.
Right. Yep.
I want to try to kind of assemble some of that, because some of the people that were involved in Hypercard are getting a little bit old.
A little long in the tooth.
We don't want to lose that.
It's funny. We've talked about this before. It's just the idea of we collect and we save the retro hardware and the software, but it's the intrinsic knowledge of how that came to be that often gets left and lost and forgotten. So I know I've embarked on a recent project to try to capture some of that some things that happen locally here and record it so that it's recorded for all times. But yeah, I think as a group, we could probably do better than we currently are at sort of collecting some of that information. I know that certain things get archived, but oftentimes it's just floppy disks and CD-ROMs and that kind of stuff. But it's the stories that actually that kind of segues really nicely into a topic I wanted to kind of briefly talk about. If any of you guys follow Nostalgia Nerd on YouTube, I don't know if you do, but if you don't, you should. His video today was fantastic. I think it was one of my favorite YouTube videos so far of 2025. It's the history of the coffee pot webcam.
Oh yeah.
So of the
Yes.
Cambridge coffee pot webcam.
Right.
But it's in interviewing the people that made that possible.
Yes.
It's kind of what's the word? it's kind of funny to think that what we're doing right now wouldn't have happened if that coffee pot didn't have a webcam pointed on it back in 1991.
Yep.
And it wasn't even a webcam. It was one of these. It was just a standard, digital or not even digital, analog security camera.
The Trojan Room coffee pot.
The Trojan Room coffee pot, exactly, yeah. Which now resides, thanks to Das Spiegel, the magazine, Spiegel. They bought the coffee pot in 2001 for 3,000 euros or pounds, sorry. And they put it in their office and had it there for years. And then in 2016, they actually donated it to a German computer museum, and they actually now have it on display after it was refurbished by Krupp, the company, the company that made the coffee pot originally, which I thought was really, really cool.
There were a couple of different, because this is an automatic coffee machine, and it was replaced a couple times over the years. But there is a model that is kind of the iconic model that they're unobtainable. Anytime they pop up on eBay, they're instantly gone.
Nerds buy them up.
Yeah, because people, this was a very kind of formative thing.
Francois asked, actually, and they actually answered this question in the video if you want to watch it on Nostalgia Nerd. But there were 3 to 4 cameras to about 7 coffee pots, he said, over the course of the year. But the longest living one was like 4 years, I think, was this Krupp's coffee pot. The previous ones had been Braun brand coffee pots. They were all German, but the Krupp's lasted longer. But great video, and the extended interview with the guy who came up with the idea to monitor the coffee pot. And maybe I'll just briefly say the reason they monitored this coffee pot, because why would there be a webcam on a coffee pot, is because they were originally Cambridge Computer Science Department was in a tower, and the only coffee pot was on one floor. And if you wanted to see if there was coffee, you'd have to run down 7 flights of stairs potentially. So to prevent that from happening, you would log in or look at the X Coffee app, which they ran on their Unix workstations, which showed every 3 seconds a new still, or sorry, 3 times a minute, a new still of the coffee pot. So you could see the level in it.
Yep.
My daughter and I, and this is how nerdy we are, and I taught her well. We caught wind that they were going to be disabling that camera. And I forget which year it was, but we actually went online and watched it.
Yep. Did you watch them flick off the switch? Because apparently that's the last still is them flicking off the switch.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool video. I recommend you watch it. And the extended interview with the gentleman who developed the original software for it is pretty interesting. But it's neat because they were working on, so in 1991 when they first did it, they were all doing PhDs in putting multimedia across computer networks. The whole question was, could you run a broadcast television show across a computer network? Yeah. And that was a question in 1991. And that's amazing when I think back and like think about it. I'm like, wow, there's a direct connection between what they were doing then in Cambridge at one of the most prestigious schools and us farting around talking about retro computers some 35 years later or 30 years later, right? Like, that's crazy and that's amazing, and that kind of story and knowledge needs to be saved because it's often overlooked. Because people take this kind of stuff for granted. I mean, kids looking at Snapchat today, they take that for granted, but like that was revolutionary in 1991.
It's pretty amazing, that's for sure.
And I will say one of the fun little anecdotes that I had that I enjoyed from the story today about the coffee pot was they would receive emails from people. People actually visited the coffee pot while it ran. Like there was a couple that showed up from the United States that wanted to visit the coffee pot and have a cup of coffee, and they actually allowed them to do it. But one of the ones they used to get an email from this guy who said, every time I load the website, the square is black. I can't see any images. And they couldn't figure out why. And then they realized they looked at the guy's email address and it was AU. He was Australian. And they realized that at night they turned the lights off, so the coffee pot stream, of course, is black. So go from that point forward, they always kept a light on.
Like a little desk lamp next to it. Yeah, it's very funny.
Oh, that's cool.
But I thought it was a fantastic story, and
it is.
You'll find stories like that. I mean, everywhere. I'm sure every university has. There is the level of laziness in nerds. Is directly proportional to the amount of innovation that they have.
Yes.
Right?
Well, you got to keep in mind though that there was a big technology gap there for a long time because there wasn't just like you could just go to the store and buy a webcam,
Right.
and even when you first could do that, they were still prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
So I actually had a very long time ago, if folks that remember ZDTV, I actually had I won a webcam from them because it was the Ziff Davis television. They had like a little Bay Area TV station that was all technology stuff, and it later became Tech TV, and then became nothing. But it launched a lot of people's careers, so good for that whole network.
And it birthed a lot of nerds.
I was gonna say Michaela Pereira ended up on CNN, so it's like wow, good for her.
True enough,
yeah. But they had a contest when they first kind of spun the channel up, and where it was like, and it was something silly. I mean, you'd never do something like this these days, but it was like go to such and such a web page, and if you see the icon for the webcam, click it, and it would take you to like a thing where you could basically say I found it, and if you were the first person during that time when they did it, you would win one. And so basically I was already working in higher education, so we had high-speed internet and things like that. So I just had like because they were like, it would be for, I think it was something as silly as like it would be on it'll be the screensavers on Thursday. You'd have to at certain times you go out and look at their pages, like all their little pages. And they have like 15 or 16 pages, and it would be like it'd be like, okay, check right now, the first person wins. And it was like I checked it and I clicked it, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Well, I guess after the first person clicks the link, it was supposed to like dynamically remove the link for other people or something. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but in any case, they emailed me and they were like, oh, hey, we screwed up, and we actually had like several winners this hour. And I said, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just I'll keep playing. And then like a day or two later, they came back and they were like, you know what, it's on us that it was screwed up, so we're honoring it, and we're just going to
awesome.
And it basically what they did is they ended the contest early.
And then just gave away the
instead of doing it for like a week, they did it for like 4 days or something, because they gave them all away.
Right.
And so and what it was a because you remember like the very first ones were like those Connectix ones by that were just like, it was the little sphere on a pyramid, or like kind of very iconic thing. They didn't go for that. These were made by 3Com, and they had a PCI card that went in your computer. It was basically just a video capture card, and then it was a video camera that it was like a little, it was round, but it kind of had like a square base around it, or like kind of around the hemisphere.
Okay.
You could still see them online, but it was like a real camera. Wow. So it was like, it looked infinitely better than like those little tiny CCD cameras like the Logic or the Quick Cam or Connectix or whoever made those. It looked way better than that. And so when you would actually do a little teleconference with people, they were like, wow, you were pushing their max bandwidth. And so you were like, wow, you look amazing. But I ended up taking that camera and I pointed it out the window to monitor the squirrels outside my office for like 5 or 6 years. So it was just, I only had it open to people on campus, but and students and stuff. So if you went to a computer lab, you could go to my computer, and like every 30 seconds there'd be like a new little 160 by 240 snapshot of what was in there, or what was that going on outside the window.
It's awesome.
And so I was not like an early adopter, but I had fun doing something like that. So
is that why the camera had to be shut down?
Privacy violation. I don't know about your neck of the woods, but here squirrels do not have civil rights, it turns out.
No, they're good eating.
Yeah, they have no intrinsic right to privacy. Squirrels.
It's awesome. But yeah, I thought that was a fantastic video. So if you guys get a chance to check it out, Nostalgia Nerd on YouTube, great channel. I highly recommend subscribing to him. And like I said, he does great work anyway, but this particular video was quite good. One of my favorites so far of 2025. Cool. So anybody else have any gets this week? I mean, you showed off yours, Eric. Ron, did you get anything while you were gallivanting across country?
If you give me a second, I'll switch my camera around and I'll show you. But yeah, I actually what happened was I was trying to find a card, this very specialized card for the Macintosh SE30 for a long time. This card requires a specialized cable that goes inside the machine and all that. Oh my gosh, what a pain in the butt this has all been. But I now have it all ready, so check this out. This is the time I turn it on and like a reefa blows or something like that. Right? So.
Oh, thank God you didn't install max memory in it.
Oh gosh, yeah, that would take 10,000 years.
That video footage looks weird. Looks different. What's different about it?
Isn't this really strange compared to typical SEs?
Is that an LCD replacement screen you have in there?
It is not. In fact, this is a grayscale card.
Ooh.
For the SE30. So what this basically does for you is give you the ability to, on the internal display grayscale video, and on an external display, you can display color video. This is going to take a second because it's going through and it's probably going to try to rebuild some whatever you call those goofy things, desktop files and things. So this is probably parked for just a minute because I'm booting off a external Blue SCSI. But no, this is just really neat. You saw the logo booting up. It's grayscale instead of black and white. And yeah, I've wanted one of these for a long time. Just matter of fact, Ryan actually sent me a card a number of years ago, and I was using that for a long time, but I could not get the color, or I'm sorry, the black and white on the up there. Oh, I just had to tweak it. I couldn't get the stuff on the internal display just because it I didn't have the specialized cable. But this new machine, I just bought like a new machine, and it included that cable and the card and everything, and really nice. All good to go.
So now, Ron, now that you have an example of that cable, would you potentially reproducing said cable for those who may require said cable?
Yes.
Excellent.
That is part of the plan as well.
Excellent.
So you can switch between the color and the black and white. There's the black and white ones, and it says color, but it's really grayscale. So,
I mean, this far back, it actually looks like that's a blue background, and that there's a hints of blue and green in those.
Well, it will be hints of blue because it's not technically black and white. It's actually it's blue and white. Displays. Yeah.
Okay. There, that makes more sense then.
Yeah, but we just it's perceived.
Yeah, like Francois said, we can almost see the blue on the splash from here, and I guess that's true.
Yeah. I don't know. I got a little bit of light pollution there.
Yeah, that's a little more higher contrast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, no.
Nope. It's a nice.
Yeah, that looks really nice. I like that.
So the whole machine, is there a story behind it? Did you find it locally?
I found it online and through Facebook Marketplace. I know a lot of people like to not use Facebook Marketplace for a variety of reasons, and that's totally fine. But sometimes I've got pretty good luck out there. So if you've ever played the Prince of Persia, you know what this. See, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, but it's
beautiful.
Yeah, versus what it looks like in black and white mode.
Yeah,
this is basically just playing it in color, and it's pretty nice on a SE30 because it's just zippy when you
nice and fast.
Yeah, when you try to do anything. So
that looks great.
Yeah, it looks really good. I'm very impressed. So anyway, $100.
Oh, nice.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Very nice.
$100 included the card and the cable and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
The only thing about it is that, and actually, just a bit of advice: if you do decide that you want to try to buy things through Marketplace, you can typically get people to do things if you make it easy for them. So it's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna set it up for Lowe's is gonna go ahead and deliver the box with all the packing materials you'll need, and you send them. I've got a little quick video to be like, all right, wrap it like this and do this, and hey, you're good. We did it in under a minute. And then you send them a pirate ship label, and you just say, drive it over to the UPS store. And then
Awesome.
after some time goes by, your deal of the century arrives.
So were you when it arrived? Did you have bated breath? Were you worried it was going to be damaged? Did you?
Well, it arrived on Valentine's Day, and
Okay.
I didn't get back in town until yesterday. So
Oh.
it sat at receiving for quite a while before I was
Cool.
able to do anything about it. But yeah, but that's basically it.
Awesome.
And,
I love it.
That's my big get.
That's
Well,
a very
that's awesome.
nice get.
It is a
Yeah,
nice gift.
I thought so too.
Awesome.
Yeah. I do have one other thing I wanted to show.
Sure.
That came with the laptop. Unfortunately, it doesn't work.
Ah, yes.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
a
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
the PS2 trackball that came with this laptop, and it's a convertible one. You can also use it if you perform the right incantation. It converts to a mouse.
Wow.
So the trackball
Mhm.
goes underneath,
And I'm
then
guessing it's
you-
much like a multifunction printer. It doesn't do any of its functions very well.
Yeah.
exactly. Most people use it as a trackball.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work. I get a keyboard error when I try to hook it up. It's just a PS2 mouse. If I use it on my 486, I get a keyboard error on that. It doesn't recognize it at all on the
Yeah.
PS2.
Gotcha.
And then there's the external keyboard
See, I love
with,
that. That's awesome.
with a specialized cable. Whoops. So I ended up buying a second one because I had this, didn't have the cable.
Mhm.
And it's a kind of a goofy, it's both a mouse and a keyboard cable.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
They use some of the unused pins on the PS2, and
Right.
then it's got a pass through for your mouse. So if you hook this up, you can use the one PS2 port, but the keypad doesn't work. I'm not sure what's wrong.
I think a lot of, if I remember correctly, in the posts that you made on the different social medias, people were amazed that the cover was still on the keypad because apparently they were notorious for being broken off.
Mhm.
So I've got two of them. They may work, and maybe there's something wrong with the port, but the pass through works. So I don't know.
And if you plug it into your regular your regular 486, does it work?
Yeah. Well, it's got a. I don't. Yeah, that
It won't be
should work.
proprietary. It should just.
Yeah, it should still work because it's PS2 compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try it on my laptop, see if it
There you
works.
go. Perfect.
Yep.
Cool. This week we had a fantastic score. A lovely gentleman locally reached out. His daughter-in-law was helping him get rid of some of his collection. He's a ham radio operator here in my town. He's a German fellow, very eccentric. Had a great time over at his house. He has one of the most amazing basement bars I have ever seen. It is totally 70s kitsch. And he hand built a machine that you would spin a dial on the bar, and you would look at a clock on the wall, and it would move it to the liquor you wanted. The hand would move the liquor you wanted. You would hit the button on the top of the spinner, and the liquor would dispense from a spigot on the wall next to where you were sitting. And it was all done through. Anyway, fantastic fellow, really, really cool project. And he had these light fixtures he had created that looked like Sputniks. So he had all these little Sputnik lamps. Anyway, fantastic fellow. But we picked up a lot of stuff off him. We got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to take to e-waste that's just not of any real value. But some real good stuff for my local retro group. I got a box of So he handed me this box and he said, "This one goes on your front seat of your car." I didn't really understand because I looked at it and it just said EPROMs on the box. But it actually ended up being a box full of CPUs.
Oh,
Just
I
put
dropped
those
them all.
anywhere.
Yeah, just a box full of CPUs. Now it looks like a lot of CPU fans, and there are, but if I remove the CPU fans, which are kind of superfluous because I don't really need them, we end up with a selection of a bunch of CPUs.
Nice.
So there's lots of 486s, 386s, a bunch of 8086s, I guess, and a bunch of Pentium 1s, Pentium 2s. And that's cool because it seemed like there was multi-layer. And I got really excited. I said, oh, there's 2 layers. Wonder what's on the second layer. I'm going to try to take this out without too much fuss. Just bear with me while I take it out. It's a flimsy piece of styrofoam. And I don't want to drop any of the CPUs if I can get away without doing it.
I did see that one of those was a like an AMD 46 CPU that's on a interposer, or basically on a it's a surface mount chip on an interposer. Yeah, that's way cool. Now, what is that?
It's a 386.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I thought it said that.
So then under the second layer, it had this black garbage bag. And I was like, why is there a black garbage bag between them? I said, that's weird. And then I realized why. It's a box full of EPROMs.
Yeah, you don't want to. Oh, you're erasing them. Look out.
Oh, no. Ah. It's a box full of EPROMs. And I don't know what they are. I assume they came off desktop computers. Most of them are 2716s. Is that a number? Someone in the comments will ask me.
Sounds like a number.
2716s? Somebody? Anybody? All right, anyway. So I have a whole box of those. So if anybody's in the market for a bunch of or needs anything, please let me know. Because as anybody who knows me, and Ron can attest to this, I don't like selling things. I just like giving things good homes. I like finding good homes for good components.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody is in the market for anything, one of the really cool CPUs that this is actually a really funny story. So I pulled this CPU cooler off and it's covered, and I mean literally gunked with thermal paste. And the CPU was gunked with thermal paste. I said, that's really weird. Why is there so much thermal paste? I think this CPU had an overheating problem. And the issue was it still has this protective blue film.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not very conductive.
No. I was like, I bet this had a really bad overheating problem. They couldn't figure it out. So they just kept throwing goo at it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But one of the really neat CPUs that I found, there's a lot of Celerons, but nobody cares about Celerons. If you're into Celerons, I'm sorry.
I don't know. They were cool when they was like, hey, I can build a machine for like half the price.
Like socket A, or socket 1 or whatever, the one that you could
slot one
you could overclock and do all that cool stuff with a pencil. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Is it this one? It might be this one. Come on, let go. Yeah, here it is. It's a scrape off the thermal paste here with the end of the cooler.
Oh yeah, Cyrix. Yep. Mm-hmm.
686.
Yeah. So it's like a socket 375 kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
like a Pentium competitor. Yeah.
Yeah, 233 megahertz. But I guess it probably never had any of the MMX stuff, I'm assuming. So it probably didn't do as good in those tests.
On Cyrix chips, it was like a sort of pseudo compatible. It was called like Media GX.
Okay, yes.
It's like their version of the MMX instruction set. So
yeah.
And really all MMX was just like we just decided to consolidate some instructions to make it where it's like you can execute 3 instructions with 1 instruction now. And it targeted media and stuff, or media intensive tasks.
media related media.
I'm just telling you, in the DOS era, you would have like a 200 or a 200 MMX.
Yeah.
And you could absolutely benchmark them side by side in like a lot of games. And the MMX, unless you specifically had something that took advantage of that, it didn't mean anything. And so for most people, they just saved the money and didn't get it.
The MMX.
So.
Yeah, like I ran, like when I was a kid, one of my, like our first computer was a 386. But then around 94, 95, we got a new computer, and it was a Pentium 133, non-MMX. I ran that forever. Yeah. And I beat the living piss out of it. Great computer.
I worked for Microage Contemporary when all that stuff came out, and so we had like you could just test like, oh, it's like all the new Cyrix CPUs are in, all the new Intel chips are in, and I mean the guys in the lab were just like, I say the lab, but it was like the tech office, were like always doing stuff where they were like, well, I had a client that was like, oh, I want to find out is the what they called plastic, is the plastic chips faster than the ceramic chips?
Right.
And I'm like, they're not.
No. What would they
they're
be?
not. But you should test it just in case. And so yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, and went ahead and got like 166 and a 200, and because you could get those in non-MMX too, like
you could,
the ceramic and the PCB, PCB version. So
yeah, so this guy, like I said, we met up with him. I got a bunch of stuff on it. We thought we were going to have to do like 6 or 7 carloads, but using my mastery of Tetris, I was able to get it in 2 carloads. But I got an old Hewlett Packard Pentium 3 desktop. I got another Pentium 2 desktop, but that is compact.
That's great.
Bunch of P1 desktops. The coolest thing though was my Tandy 100 laptop that runs on AA batteries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that came with a Tandy external portable hard or floppy disk.
Neat.
That has some of the best action of the eject and load action of any floppy disk I've ever touched. It's fantastic. Nice. It's like loading a magazine into an AR or something. It's very like mechanical and very it's nice. Mm-hmm. And what else I get? There's a bunch of signal generators. He was big into the ham radio and repairing electronics. So I got a really cool old signal generator, a couple of ham radios, a bunch of CB stuff, a couple of old laptops. But it was a really good time, and it's interesting meeting these people because, like I said, they're getting older. This gentleman was probably in his 80s. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be around forever, so it's neat to talk to them and to hear their stories. Like he came over, he was 18 years old when he moved to Canada after he had lived through World War II. And he was telling me that when he was a kid, they would go around. They had nothing. Because obviously they were war reparations, and the economy of Germany was pretty much destroyed during the war, and they were barely surviving. That's why they ended up coming to Canada. But he was saying like they'd go through the woods and they'd find a tank, an old military, be a German or Russian or Canadian or American or whatever. And it would just be there, and they would take it apart, and they would scavenge electronics off it, and that's how he, built his first radio. That's how he figured out, electronics. And he said, we'd find ammunition, and being kids, you take all the gunpowder out of the ammunition, you go blow something up for fun. Like it was, he said it was cool. It was just how you learned and how you did things. But he said that was how he got into electronics, and as he got older, he became electronics tech, and it was a pretty cool time. Great chance to meet him. So I don't think he's watching, but if he is, thank you, sir. I appreciate opening your home to me and to showing me your cool retro bar in the basement. But yeah, I can share some pictures later of that. But yeah, so that was my week. And this is what I live for. It's the hunt. It's the finding, and it's finding homes for things. So almost all of that will not stay in my possession. That'll all be sort of disseminated out to people in my local community and some people in your community, sorry, our community, I should say. Some people in the States and Canada. Cool. So I'm looking forward to it. And then the other thing I found, which I posted earlier while I was cleaning up, and this is probably going to make some really old electronic tech people upset. I found an unused, unbuilt Heath kit microprocessor. It's a, hold on. I'll take this sheet out here. It's a microprocessor training kit. So it allows you to build your own computer, basically.
Deep.
So it comes with all the schematics and all the bits and pieces to build it. And it's really neat to actually go through something that was, I was pulling around this earlier, to go through something that was packaged in the late 70s, early 80s, because everything is wrapped in brown wax paper. And it's just neat that's how they sent, ship stuff back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's neat is, so I'll show you the PCB. So you get a little container. They include a little acrylic container for holding all of your little bits. And they give you everything. They've got a bunch of change notices as well with the manual. But yeah, this is the PCB. And so it's a 6808 processor. And they give you everything from the power supply down to the case. Here's the part of the case. So when you're done, it should look something. I had a picture of it up here. Just give me a second to find it. Yeah, it's a Heathkit ET3400 micro learning computer. And I'll just share my screen here. Present. Share screen. Just this. Share now. There you go. So that's what it looks like when you're done.
It's very cool.
Yeah. And so it's a cool little machine. So I'm actually going to send it to one of our friends, one of our other YouTube compatriots, and they're going to assemble it and do a video about it. There's only a few videos about it on YouTube right now, and most of them have already been from units that were already assembled and somebody got and then tried to. There's a port of BASIC for this, apparently, so you can run a port of some sort of chopped down BASIC on it. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens with this. But yeah, that was what happens when you clean up your room. You find things you forgot you had, because this would have been picked up. This came from the gentleman at CBC. So anyway, that's what I have for this week.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I like a story like that.
And I like being able to pay it forward and give it to somebody. And I myself and Ron have talked about this before, but my whole point or purpose of this hobby, for me at least, is to collect and to save and to educate. So I don't do a lot of videos. I'm not the master of soldering. I'm not the master of explaining how things work. I'm decent enough at putting a video together. But there are a lot of us in the community that are way better at it than I am. So I'd like to make sure that kind of stuff makes it to them, so people can make videos and educate further generations. And then when someone else finds one of these in a barn sometime, 15 years time, they can go to Google and go, how do I assemble this? And maybe they find a video that I helped, in my own small way to make. And it continues the hobby.
I know, just keeps it moving.
Indeed. Cool. So we were going to talk about some stuff tonight, but we kind of got sidetracked. I was going to talk about Microsoft's new amazing quantum computing CPU that they invented, but we're already an hour and 13 minutes in, so I don't think that's really required.
Okay.
If you're interested, Microsoft just had an amazing breakthrough after 20 years of quantum computing research, and it's going to be a game changer. So check it out.
This is like Kent Brockman, where it was like, didn't expect to spend 20 minutes talking or 30 minutes talking about a doll. So I guess the rest of the advice or the rest of the news will wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
The president was shot, but anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Cool. So does anybody have any last little tidbits of knowledge or any suggestions or anything coming up they want to talk about? I know Marcintosh is a big thing. So where can people, we'll just circle back there. Where can people find information about Marcintosh, Ron?
Marcintosh.com.
Marcintosh.
And then also this coming Monday is the kickoff video. So you can tune in. It'll be it's hosted off my thing, but I think other people will have the ability to restream it.
Yeah.
So it'll probably show up in wherever it is you consume, or whomever's channel you consume YouTube content from.
There you go. Cool. And Eric, did you have something?
Actually, just a little proud of myself. The hard drive that was the Connor hunk of junk hard drive that was in this laptop
Is dead.
didn't work. It would spin up and then spin back down, spin up over and over. I actually opened it up and was able to tape the bumper and got it working.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There was nothing interesting on it, but I wouldn't have known if I hadn't got it working. So
Yeah.
You've resurrected a Connor. Well done.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for spending your evening with us. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I guess other than to say have a fantastic week, as Ron always says, you don't know what other people are going through. So
Yeah,
the best thing to do is to be
everybody's
nice.
going through something. So use every opportunity you can to be nice. Like
There you
make investments in kindness.
There you go. Perfect. Well, thanks everybody. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you next week. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Bye.